everyone, it's the week before Christmas and we've got the house all decorated for Christmas. Today I'm making Ma Mère's Tourtière. And Tourtière is a French-Canadian meat pie that's made at Christmas time. And there's lots of different recipes, but I gotta tell you, the only one I've ever truly loved is Ma Mère's recipe. And so last year I dug it up and I worked on it, and I think I've got a really delicious version of the Tourtière for this year. And one thing is, Ma Mère's recipe is probably almost 100 years old now. And so our tastes have changed just a little bit over 100 years. So I've made a few small changes to Ma Mère's version. And Ma Mère is my grandmother. We always called my grandmother Ma Mère. And her Tourtière was truly one of the best ever. So I'll go through the ingredients a little bit. So it takes bacon, 450 grams of pork. Get the leanest pork you can find. And then 1.5 chopped mid-sized onions. And then 2 mid-sized apples all chopped up. And now I've added Yunhee's cherry jam. To give it an extra little sweetness that's really good. Now, here's where I've made some changes. Is that in Ma Mère's recipe, all it calls for is quite a bit of salt, actually. So, and I'm not going to use any salt. I think the amount of salt we use nowadays is really a lot less than it was 100 years ago. And so I've cut out the salt. And the only 2 spices that remain then are the ground pepper and the ground nutmeg. And so then I've added a whole other set of spices just to sort of meet the modern palate, right? So as we can, and these sort of add just a bit more sort of spice to it, a little bit more flavor. So I have a 1/2 teaspoon of ground sage and a 1/2 teaspoon of fennel seeds. And then I have a full teaspoon of Italiano spice. Now the Italiano spice has the salt in it, right? So that's why I took all the salt out. And then I have a 3/4 teaspoon of diced thyme. And then what I've added is a 1/2 teaspoon of crushed peppers and a full Thai pepper. You just got to give it a bit of zing. It's just too old-fashioned without just a bit of spice. And so the Thai pepper really just adds that. And so those are my ingredients. And actually to make it's quite simple. Most of the ingredients will all go together now in the fry pan, and then we'll turn it into a pie. We'll start by frying your bacon. Now with the bacon, don't overcook it. Just kind of brown your bacon. And the reason is it's going to cook in the oven for 30 minutes. So you don't want to over brown any of the ingredients. So once the bacon has been browned, then we can brown the pork. Okay, next comes in the onions. Throw in the onions. And now we're going to make our meat sweet by adding the apples and cherry jam. So there we are. We have apples and cherry jam. Ma Mère would be proud, I think, at my changes. Hopefully she'll be proud at my changes. And now I'm going to add all my spices. So I had my black pepper, in it goes. And there we have it. Everything's in now. It's all done, basically. The filling anyways. So I'm just going to cook the filling down a little bit now until everything blends in well. And then we're going to cool it. Filling's all set. And we're supposed to cool it. And so you say, oh, you cool it in the fridge. But that's not how Ma Mère would have cooled it. Ma Mère would have taken it outside in the winter. So that's where I'm going with it now. I'm going to take my filling outside and cool it down for about 15 minutes. And Edmonton's the perfect place to do that because it's about -15 outside right now. It's out in the snow for 15 minutes. And let it cool. Okay, let's get it. Here it is. All cooled off and ready to go. How's our pie feeling? So when I make the tourtière, I'm reminded of Ma Mère, and she passed along to me her devotion to St. Anthony, and I've always had a great devotion to St. Anthony. And when I pray to St. Anthony, no matter what it is, he always comes through. He always helps me find what I need in life. And no matter what, especially these days, these days it's good to, so much in the world has been lost, and we need to pray. We should all have a personal saint. Ma Mère's was St. Anthony. Put the last little bit of it in. And then, put the last little bit in. Take the second pie filling. Oh, I didn't tell you that. I didn't make my pie fillings. I bought them. But that's okay. They're not very expensive, and you buy them at any store, your pie fillings. And they always come in a box of 2, which is perfect. Because you take one for the filling, and one just to put on top. And then we just lift it off. Perfect. Oh, I didn't quite get it perfect, so just, if you don't quite get it perfect, just as careful as you can, go around the edges and tuck it in. Just tuck it in, because you're going to want to, that one there, that little side there, just like that. So then I'm going to go around and just tuck the whole thing in. Okay, the next thing you just have to do is score it. Maybe 4 scores. 20 years, right? That's a good joke. Okay, 3 scores. And a 4th. There we are. That is a tourtière ready to go into the oven. And I've preheated my oven already to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And so my tourtière is ready to go in for 35 minutes. 1 tourtière. So here it is, the tourtière. And I'm just going to do one Feature Foods plug for my brother Lauren and the Feature Foods company. We have the beet horseradish. And really, the beet horseradish on top of the tourtière, absolutely perfect. Well, Merry Christmas, everyone, and enjoy the tourtière.